Well, good afternoon to you, and this is stage 8 of the Tour de France Sallanches to Alpe d'Huez. We'll pick up some of the pictures from yesterday's stage, in particular that phenomenal ride of this man Veronk that took him into not only the polka dot jersey but the yellow jersey as well. Another stage victory, this man. So going down to Sallanches as the off today, he'll have that jersey on his shoulders, and we wiggle our way down a southwesterly direction, going over some famous climbs, the Col de Telegraph and the Col de Galibier. And then, of course, the big one at the end of it all is when they turn to go through and up that infamous and very famous Alpe d'Huez. It's going to be a total then of 219 kilometres in all and 136 miles in English money. That's the Galibier. Then over that, we're going to pick up the racing as they're coming down the other side, wending their way through the valleys, and then up that phenomenal climb to the top of the Alpe d'Huez. We're now picking up the race with 38 kilometres to go, and we will perhaps have a bit of a shot at looking back what's happened so far, but if not, the situation at the moment, we'll put you the picture on that. If it doesn't come back, we'll put that up for you at the moment. But the US Postals have regrouped after the climb. They got a bit shredded on the way up. On the way up the climb of the Col de Telegraph, followed by the Col de Galibier, they managed to keep 5 or 6 riders up there at the front, but by the time they went over the top of the Col de Galibier, they were running off the back. And on the way down, they'd come back to join up with Lance Armstrong, who was riding very confidently up there to the top of the climb. Now, the top of the Col de Galibier, it was a good ride up there, and at the top is Garzelli, believe it or not, the winner of the Tour of Italy that a couple of years ago that got the victory ahead of Manchego. Moro was in 3rd spot, Veronk was over in 4th spot, then Zubelia, then Ulrich and Armstrong, those two always locked together like Batman and Boy Robin, and behind them Beloki, Hellas, Mayo, Jaschke, Hamilton, Bunakrov, and so on. And so, in fact, all that was Gurini, and you may remember too, he's also won a stage in the Tour de France up the Alpe d'Huez. We're going to have a quick look now back at the summary of what's happened so far in what has been a very interesting stage. In fact, the pace has been pretty hot. It's well ahead of schedule, and we've just seen a great group of riders come over the top of the Col de Galibier, and they're 22 minutes down, and they've still got some 62 kilometres to go to the finish. This is the start this morning from Sallanches, so Jean-Michel Blanc got them underway. 2 back-to-back mountain stages and another bad one to go tomorrow. Man in the yellow jersey there is Veronk, and round about him his teammates, and suddenly sliding up the back were what was the remnants of the Fassa Bertolo team. They had not started 3 riders this morning due to sickness. They just couldn't make the start. Aitor Gonzalez, Gustav and Montgomery did not make the start, and on the back of what the retirements they had so far, bad day Fassa Bertolo, 3 left. But Veronk, as ever, romping over the first climb of the Col de Maghreb, and behind him Mazzoloni and Hogan in that order. We had a bit of a breakaway going off the front after those 2 climbs. Certainly the one that Veronk got in quick succession gave more points to King of Mountains competition, but then we had a little breakaway group of 4 riders going off down here, and you could see there that was where they were approaching the top of the Col de Telegraph, and those 4 split, and we just had one rider getting away off the front. And this is Federico, who went over the top, chased by Glomza and Porter. Porter was the remnants of that 4-man breakaway that had gone away after the second climb of the day. Romping over there is Veronk, and roundabout in Gazzelli too as well. This was a real brave attack by Federico to try and stay away, but the bunch weren't to let him have much help on that, because over the top of the Telegraph they dropped down, and then we saw them sprinting for the classic climb over the top of the Col de Galibier. And over the top, there it was, Garzelli from Manchego, Moro and Veronk in that order. But a bad day in the office as far as Simone is concerned. He was dropped off 1 minute back, and he had company with Ludwig on the way down. Britain's David Miller was also dropped on the climb. He's found his way back to a good recruitment going on from those riders that have dropped. But Sean Kelly, you've been up the Alpe d'Huez in the past. Does that bode well though? Because only about 30 riders came up near the front, and these chaps are coming back now, have come from the back. Is this just a sort of interim piece for them before we hit the Alpe d'Huez? And what's going to happen to those chaps that we just saw struggling? Have they any chance to recover?
Well, sometimes you see riders suffering, like Simone. He's been suffering a long time today. He's been on the back of the bunch, losing contact, coming back on the descent, and as you said, over the Galibier he was also out the back, but he's fighting on, and you never know how he could recover, but it's difficult to see him recover so late in the day.
Mike.
Yes, David, well, as you know, Stefano Garzelli got the Henri Desgrange prize for being first over the top of the mighty Galibier, but he's a long way behind the 5 times winner of the polka dot jersey, Richard Virenque. Virenque has been in the points again today, very cleverly watching for these King of the Mountains points, as we've seen him so many times before. He's got more than twice the number now of his nearest competitor, the very brave Rolf Aldag, who was out there in front for so long yesterday. Virenque said, it's the polka dot jersey I've come for. I want to equal the record of Bahamontes and Van Impe, and at the moment, David, although there's still a lot more climbs to go, he's well on course to do it.
Thank you for that then, Mike, and we're going down into the descent. There's packing no flat, it's sort of come straight back up again virtually by the time they get down to the bottom. Sure, what on earth's going on here? It's not Dave from Early Bath, there's Astor Rosa here, together with Roos, who've got off the front, but he seems to be pouring the water in his hands. I've seen him pour the water in their feet before.
Well, sometimes you get the hands that get a bit sticky because some of the drink he might have as an isotonic, so he might have got it on his hands. But also on the handlebars, sometimes your hands get a bit greasy and you have to give them a wash off because it gets slippery on the bars. So you often see that, especially after such a long day.
But the strange is though, Sean, he didn't have any gloves on. Most of the riders have these leather palmed or chamois palmed gloves with sort of the nylon on the back of them. Why wouldn't he be wearing those?
Well, the mitts, most of the people, if you look at them here, the riders, they wear mitts, but there's the odd one who do not wear them, and that's when your hands get slippery. With the mitts you don't have that problem, so you know that's why he's just washing off his hands with some clean water.
Long string of riders regrouping after climb. 31 kilometres to go before they get to the end of the stage today, and ahead of them lies that horrific climb up the Alpe d'Huez, and that is the view that they care to look up, is up there in the distance, just those craggy mountains down in the valley at the moment. When years gone by, the ice melted and down went the water, cleaving its way down, and so many valleys here that are lovely, running down with rivers beside them. But you look left, you look right, there are the big mountains, and these riders will just know what they've got there. Well, the water's coming down still. There's a tremendous amount, because in the winter all those mountain tops are covered with snow, and down it comes and down the rivers. A gorgeous part of the world. If I use the word gorge, that, I'm sorry to say, was not deliberate. Talk about gorgeous though, Christy Anderson, who's got with us now today, because we haven't had time to talk to her on the mobile phone. We've got her in the flesh. Christy, what happened this morning?
Well, it was pretty interesting this morning, because the first person I spoke to was Stefano Garzelli, who assured me that he was feeling a lot better today than he was yesterday, and that's clear after watching him climb over the Galibier and take that prime. Also, his teammate Eddie Mozzolini was also feeling much better today, so they can actually work together, and he'll have some support. I also spoke with the U.S. Postal Team again, which is 2 days in a row, David. Big surprise. And even Lance Armstrong said to me, "Good morning, Christy."
That's nice. So you actually he spoke to you. I think you're the only person on the whole lot here has had a word from Lance, except in the big press conferences. On his own then, Mike Smith.
Thanks, David. Well, the Daily Quick Poll, here it is today. An interesting question with Richard Virenque holding both the yellow and the polka dot jersey. His real aim, he says, is the polka dot. So, here's the quick poll. Can Richard Virenque keep the yellow jersey beyond the Alps? Interesting question. Vote as usual, www.eurosport.com, and the result of that will come in our post live. Can Richard Virenque hang on to the yellow jersey beyond the Alps? I wonder, David.
Well, we'll know the result of that today, won't we? Unless he can get it back tomorrow, because whether he's going to get it today or not, we don't know. Sean, he did a great ride last year in the Ventoux, and that was the back end of the race, but that was a one out the top draw, wasn't it? What's his prospects today to carry on tomorrow in the yellow, just like the quick pole, or do you think this is the time when Armstrong has to stamp his authority on the race?
Yes, I don't see Virenque in the yellow jersey tomorrow. We see him there on the last climb on the Galibier. He was starting to suffer a bit, and he's been going for the King of the Mountains points. So I think he is tiring. I don't think he will be up there able to defend his jersey, and I think there will be a lot of race and run this Alp, because there's a good few very good climbers here, and I think we will see some action from them.
And there we are, looking down at the Chambon Dam on both sides, providing a natural barrier from the rock where the Grand Rousse and the Romanche crosses the Chambon fault and opens up down the River Plény too as well. These are still some of the soldiers of the foot soldiers of the race still going on, and that is Jimmy Casper, and he's 33 minutes down. Interesting to see, when we're talking about the gloves and gripping, that he's actually putting either one or two on now for his descent. That I find strange, Sean. I thought you want them to go up so your hands don't slip, or is this something to do with his braking on the way down, or just keep yourself warm?
No, I think on the climb, like he's so warm and his hands are sweating so much, he just took them off. But on the descent, you're going to have to take risks, because he's a lot down, and still with altitude to come, in case he gets a spill, and that's the most dangerous thing. If you come down the palms of your hands, you can do a lot of damage, and that's what the mitts, the gloves are for. In case you do crash, to save your palms.
Thanks for that then, Sean. Situation normal as they're still going downhill with less than 30 kilometres to go, and on the front then we can see the US Post, a long stringer rider and a big wodge of orange jerseys behind as the riders from the Escatel team are coming in. Amazing thing is that we've got 12 Spanish riders in the first 30 on general classification, and so we're going to take a short break. It is going to be short. We've got a lot to cram in these next 30 kilometres. Do stay with us. It's going to be a great day. Who's going to win this one? You'll find out later. An accident here, Sean.
Well, it seemed to be Harris and Armstrong. They say they seem to touch together, and Armstrong, Harris seemed to get his chain off, but he did not lose much time. He got away quite quickly.
US Postal problem?
Yeah, well, we spoke this morning with Dirk de Mol, and he said, you watch today, you watch and see what happens. And I have two feelings on this. Either they're going to blow it away today, or they're going to completely sit back and let it go. Before, I've talked to Dirk de Mol, and he's told me things which have come true and things which clearly were not the objective. So on this day, there are really two potential scenarios for Armstrong. He can either have a real show of strength, or he can wait and defend the jersey for 2 less days, taking it after the rest day.
Any more news at the start this morning?
Just a quick word from Ferretti. The Fassa Bartolo director was really upset. With only 3 riders left in the race at this point, he is shaking his head, and he is just not a very happy man. But David, I'll let you finish talking about the race here as it stands, because this is going to be a fantastic stage.
Thanks, David Christie. And still on the front of the field at the moment, and the water thundering down. We haven't had any, thank goodness. It's one of the driest Tours de France we've had for an awful long time now, but still the water churning down here into that massive Chambon Dam, and there you can see the barrage across it at the end, which will enable the water to be held for the electricity. But this is a great place where they developed the electricity systems over the years, and you're watching now a beautiful sight here, and the riders will be going through, probably thinking of their showers later on. But Sean, the big thing at the moment though is it going to be survival if people have got back? When you start a day like this, is that a big thought in your mind about the big climb to come hanging over you like a big black cloud, despite the fact it's a lovely sunny day?
Yes, well, I think if you're suffering in the stage, late in the stage, as we see on the last climb, as I said, Galibier, I think Virenque was starting to suffer. Some of the guys might have been suffering earlier in the day in the first 80 kilometres, 100 kilometres, and we might hear that, well, they were going better on Alpe d'Huez, and some of the guys who could maybe do well up here and maybe win the stage. We haven't seen anything from Maya really. Heras would be another guy. Armstrong, of course, he can't count him out, but Moreau is seems to be riding very much to the front, and Garzelli, he's starting to go for the mountain point, so that's a good sign that he has good legs. So those guys are definitely the main men for the stage win here, I think.
But I understand Botero's in trouble.
Yes, Portero he's in the bus at the moment, which means he's in the gruppetto a long ways down, so he's really suffering. Rebellin also has lost a lot of time, and Simone we see, but he's battling on, he's coming back each time, so maybe he can come around before the Alp, who knows. Robert Miller David Miller, as we said, he was struggling a little bit as well, but also in this bunch, so hopefully that they will get a bit of that strength back, eat some on the descent here, and take in some liquid, and hopefully recover enough to get up the Alp, and to lose the least amount of time as possible.
A slip of tongue there in Robert Miller rather than David Miller. Robert Miller has been up this climb in 1989. He finished in 9th spot on the climb when it was won by Tunisia on that occasion, and the Dutch really have made it their mountain. Over so many years they've been up there across the years, winning the stages up there, as they started first of all 1952. Copy was there, and from then on the years rolled by. We didn't come back for nearly 25 years, and it was Zoetemelk, the Dutchman, who triumphed in 1976. Mike Smith will have these graphics for you later on, but the Dutch content, and I think we'll come up later on, was there it was. But then the big thing I liked looking at these pictures in the book was Kenny Kuiper going across the line in 77 and in 78, because Henny was riding those days for the TI Rally team, and we saw the TI Rally jersey yet again when Winnan won the race in 1983. So good memories for myself looking back to those halcyon days of the big rally team. And this book we're talking about now, they've given us a free copy at the finish line here. It's the Alpe d'Huez, The Legend, and I'm sure that somebody like Richard Olchin from Sport and Publicity and David Bromley, and also Bicycle Books out in Hereford, and I keep promising myself to go out there because it's the centre of the cider industry is. It's a book which has been brought into effect by the Velo Press, but also with Cabell Communications, who are the publishers of Pro Cycling. So I'm sure it'll be available in Great Britain, and do get it. It's a magnificent book, great big pictures, and going back, in fact, Mike Smith's going to talk about the winners on the Alpe d'Huez. I hope I didn't pinch your thunder, Mike, but this is a phenomenal book, and you've got the statistics to go with it.
Yes, well, this is the 23rd attempt to get to the top of Alpe d'Huez. As you say, David, it was Fausto Coppi, the first one up in 1952. Funnily enough, they didn't go again to Alpe d'Huez from 1952 to 1976, but since then it's been almost a regular. There's the last few years. We've got Fausto Coppi at the bottom if you go up, then 76, Jupp Zoetemelk, who was a winner of the Tour, of course, and then more recently people like Bernard Hinault. That was the year when he went up with Greg LeMond and they crossed the line hand in hand. The victory technically was Hinault's, but I always called it a draw myself. And then of course Marco Pantani won it a couple of times in the 90s, and that time in 1999, remember that one, David, when Giuseppe Guerini was on his own near the top. He was only about 30 seconds clear, and this lad came out to take a photograph. Bang! He hit the lad, down he went, and fortunately for the day he got up again and he still won the stage. Oh my, but remember, Lance Armstrong was the winner the last time he came up here 2 years ago. Now then,
Go, Mike.
Yes, Lance Armstrong. Lance Armstrong, of course, has had 4 wins in this tour, and he's featured very, very well on the high mountains in all 4 of those victories. For instance, Alpe d'Huez in '99, he was in 5th place. Mont Ventoux in 2000, he was in 2nd place. That's when he allegedly gifted it to Marco Pantani. I've just mentioned the win he had in 2001 on Alpe d'Huez, and remember also he was 3rd on Mont Ventoux just last year. He always seems to pull it out on the big mountains, doesn't he, David?
That's right, and this Alce Rolosa on the front, enjoying the sunshine, the roof's behind him. The rider riding for the AG2R team, the long lanky lad, loves the sunshine. He hadn't won a race until he came into the Tour Down Under in January this year, and he won that one quite convincingly. His team, the AG2R team, did a wonderful job blocking the time bonuses on the final day in Adelaide, where you can imagine that Stuart O'Grady was stamping trying to get charge of the race, and people like Robin McKeown in there too. We saw Baden Cook win the first stage that race too as well. So it was an early start for this young rider, and he's helped enormously on that the Tour Down Under, not only by the Kosovo taking the intermediate sprint points on the final, but the young lad out there too as well, Mark Scanlon, riding for the AG2R team. He was doing a great job out there. He didn't get to ride the Tour de France this year, Sean, but I think it's probably just as well. What do you think about Mark being able to ride the Tour, and when would that like to happen?
Well, I think we will see him in the Tour, and maybe next year, if not certainly the year after. the team is very happy with him. Vincent Lavenu is quite happy with his performance the first half of this season. He raced quite a lot. I think the 2 would have been a bit heavy for him, considering the programme that he had from the beginning of the year till now.
And the man also out there in the front of this group, Roos, as we're looking at Miller, who's had a bit of a rough day so far, but he's a tenacious guy, and I think he's going to push himself on that climb. There'll be massive people there from Great Britain to urge him on, and that climb is spectacular. And when you said to me, Mike, do I remember Gurini when he ran into that camera? And yes, I did, because it was an amazing sight. And I forget what I said at the time, but a television station out somewhere, I don't know, it was Australia or America, took the clip, and I actually got paid for a repeat of it. So I think my backman is happy anyway. But Gurini, yes, and it's an area where there is not much in the way of barriers, but I think they've extended barriers this year to stop that thing happening. And the barriers go right the way down from about 4,000 metres from the finish. They've got the barriers all the way up there to stop the fact. It's an enormous gathering of population. There's nothing down here, very sparse number of people on the sides of the road, but ahead of them lies something like 300,000 people, and I think they all brought their motor cars up with them, because we had a horrendous journey up yesterday, as there's a bit of a sort of lull before the storm down in the valley now, and then they're going to turn on that final climb of the day. Have you got any more statistics for us later on, Mike, or is your day finished?
No, my day's not finished, David. I think we'll have 1 or 2 more. We might squeeze in 1 or 2 for you, but then of course don't forget that for anybody who misses it this Sunday afternoon, lovely weather we're having, I'm sure there's some people out, we shall of course be having the post live, as we call it, after all the action is finished. Time for a short commercial break, David, but we'll be back with more action very soon.
I switched off the wrong light there. Sorry, we switched microphones, Chris and myself, because mine went on the blink, and so she's now going to try and find a man with a spanner to sort it out. Anyway, back in action here. 20 kilometres to go before we hit the massive finish at the Alpe d'Huez, that famous climb that Mike was talking about, the winners in the past, and particularly Fausto Coppi. Fausto Coppi, he went on to win the Tour de France that year by something like 25 minutes. He won the next stages to come after that, the other 2 mountain stages as well, won by some 25 minutes. Doesn't happen in this day and age, too many tacky. But the big thing is, if you do get a copy of this book, in fact any of the books to do with cycling, this particular one has got a picture on page 19 of Fausto Coppi chasing down, I know you can't see it, so I've got a camera here to show it to you, the little Didi Robic. Robic was an amazing man. He was about knee-high to a grasshopper, slightly balding, and he was a great climber, a very little Didi fellow, and he's been chased down by Fausto Coppi. There's a shot down the valley, and you know, I can count 1, 2, 3 spectators. That's all. 3 spectators on this particular part of the climb, and there's no advertising. It's the motorcyclists are riding without crash hats on, the riders haven't got crash hats on, and there's just grass on the side of the road. It's an amazing picture that shows you that's how it was in 1952 on the Alpe d'Huez. Completely the opposite of what we got now. Enormous crowds out on the course, so much so that last night when we came down from Morzine, it took us 2 hours to get off the mountain, off Morzine, down into a place called Cluse to pick up the motorway, and in nearly 2 hours we did another lot more kilometres to get to Grenoble and on in towards the Alpe d'Huez. And along the valley we just ran into the back of the cars waiting to come, and this was by now about 9:30 at night, and we stopped at a restaurant at about still 10 miles from the Alpe d'Huez, because we must have something to eat, because it looks like we're going to be very late to the top of the climb into our hotel. And the people on the side of the road said, oh, it's been like this all day since 9 o'clock this morning, traffic's hardly moved. I thought, oh my goodness. And I got my maps out. I remember going back down the other way some years ago, and yes, we're right by the fork, and so Sean and I, the restaurant, half an hour we still didn't get fed, so we said, right, we'll go up to Alpe d'Huez, even if it means a bag of crisps which we can get from the shop, the shuttle. Anyway, off we went, and we took this back double, and we were going on the road. It was just as wide as the wheels of the car up toward the top. Sean was driving, and he was okay. He was on the wall side, the rock side. I was looking down there, and right down in the valley, about 1,000 metres below, perhaps even more than that, there was the Cathedral Blazon, and all this trail of lights, like those the lights you have at Christmas, or the people have these little diddy lights which go inside that plastic tube, all the way up the climb, nose to tail, all these lights, all the way up, all the way up, all the way up. And we came out about 2/3 of the way up. It was pretty hectic in certain parts, but we came out up there and managed to come on up towards the finish, and we got there at about 11:30 last night. And as we parked the car, we met up with some people from one of the French operations, and they'd taken 3 hours to get from virtually where we took this little divertissement. And a lot of our colleagues came in between 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock this morning. So I think, oh, the joy of the Tour, I'd love to go out there and work on the Tour de France. And that was after being on air for 7 hours. Not that for sympathy, I'm just letting you know, dear viewers, that that's the way in which the Tour de France evolved. And it's because the spectators here, Sean, every year we see more and more and more, but you see them winning round here. We saw the cars. This again seemed to be some sort of record crowd on the Alpe d'Huez.
Yes, I certainly think there's a record crowd today. Looking at it yesterday, the way it was last night and all day yesterday, it's it's just unbelievable. The crowd, I think, is bigger this year because of the centenary year. The crowds are amazing, and I think this will be by far the biggest numbers will be on the side of the road for this final up the Alpe d'Huez.
How long is it going to take us to get down tonight, Sean? 3 weeks?
Well, we're promised that we're going to have the police escort down for all the commentators and journalists who want to go down immediately after the broom wagon bus come in. But I'm waiting with my fingers crossed.
And they always have trouble because the police stop us going down the wrong side of the road, don't they? Oh well, yes. That's an on, and I hope you're enjoying it. Sean Kelly with me, having ridden up this big mountain climb in front before. Before we went on air, I heard you and Graham Jones talk about 1983 when he'd gone up doing some work for Bernardo or something, and then you were having a rough time. What happened that year, Sean, for you?
Well, in the early part of the stage, we had it as normal in the stage Alpe d'Huez, there were a number of climbs, and in the first one we started out at Po, I think it was, and I had a lot of problems in the first mountain and the second mountain, and I started to get better as the day went on, and I came to the Alpe d'Huez, a number of minutes down behind the leaders, but climbed it very fast. But in a situation like that, when you're a number of minutes down on the favourites, well then it doesn't count anymore, whatever way you climb it.
Well, looking at 1983 on the 17th stage, run by his fellow winning Bernardo, who you're taking up there. If you look there at the top of the climb, that is the Alpe d'Huez up there. Sean, he was in second spot after that. Were you reasonably happy with that, or do you wish he'd won with and beaten Winnan?
Well, yes. Well, you don't have really any favourites, but Bernardo was a good rider, and he was, a rider that we still know, and we meet him here because he is the director of sportif of Rus from Brioche Le Boulanger, and we see him just a moment ago come up in the team car talking with Rus here. He was a very good rider, and he was one of the French hopefuls as well when he came on the scene for a Tour win, but it never really materialised.
But that day he finished off in second spot, and on that particular day, the top of the climb, the result then was that Sean in fact was fifth. Off too early. Back to watch out. Sean's watching, and Mike's going to give us a rundown.
Yes, Alexander Butcherov, David, has got the heart monitor on today. The Russian who rides for the AG2R Provenance team, teammate, of course, of Astar Loza, who's out in front with Didier Rus. And as you can see, he's very close to going into the red at the moment. He's back in that chase group, and he's working at 93% capacity, and that's before he's made the right turn to start L'Alpe d'Huez. What will he do on the climb itself, I wonder?
Well, we shall see. They're 2:32 ahead. A little sort of gasp here, and Sean pointed out, with the hats coming off. In fact, I think that Rus took his off about 100 yards before the sign. I don't think anybody was shouting at that, because the rules are now that they must wear their crash hats except where the stage finishes at the top of the climb, and that stage is more than 5 kilometres long. That's the rules of the UCI, but I think he might have been 100 yards too soon, but nobody, I think, was shouting for that. This is a sign and a scene that you're going to see these next 21 hairpin bends as the riders go up. And just look at these people at the bottom of the climb, and at the top of the climb it's a natural amphitheatre. It's packed with the people who've been out here for a couple of days now, just waiting for the teams the riders to come through, and the team cars behind. They've already seen the publicity cavalcade go through in front, and 2:32 at the bottom of the climb, Sean. How long are they going to last?
Well, it's going to be difficult to last out for very long here, because there's going to be a lot of action in the bottom of the Alpe d'Huez, and it's always a situation on the four slopes of the Alp. They always seem to be attacks, and they attack it very fast, where some of the other times maybe they take it easy for a time. But the Alpe d'Huez is special. I think the riders, they're a bit nervous coming into the Alpe d'Huez, although they have had a hard day. They're still, you know, a little bit on the nervous side, more than they would be on another climb. So I think these guys will be short-lived out here.
Rosie's having some trouble. Is that with his monitor, his strap round there, or has he got his zip caught in his vest? He's having all sorts of trouble, hasn't he?
Yes, I think he's tried to open his zip fully to leave the jersey open out fully, and he's having problems doing that.
We all know what the problem is when you get your zip caught in the wrong place. Right, now we'll go back. We're into the race. 13.8 kilometres of climbing, and Sean has something to say. Yes, Sean.
Yes, well, we see the US posters
already
here. Yes, they're turning it on at the moment, and you know, it's a tactic we were thinking about what's going to happen, and we were saying, like, definitely they will probably make it very difficult at the bottom to make it. That's the time to do it, and they're certainly doing it here.
And they've already dropped one man. Has he got a little problem there? He shot straight out the back. Lots of other riders said, oh, that's it, goodbye to me. Hincapie, who's done a sterling job so far, has suddenly been shot out the back. And the determination all over the rider. This is like they're sprinting for the line, and they've got another, what, 12.5 kilometres to go.
Yes, well, Beltran here, you know, he's going at an unbelievable pace such early in the race. We see Richard Viranki's losing contact immediately here, and we haven't come to the first hairpin bend on the Alp yet, so it's crazy the way the speed are going the Alps, the US posters at the moment.
And Frank's been shelled out, the yellow jersey. They've gone down the road, and it's right to start the climbing again. But they're thinning, and look who's there, Wunderkraft. Fine form from after Tour of Switzerland. He's straight on the wheels of Armstrong. And look at the riders flying out the back. This must now be just survival time for these riders, Sean.
Well, some of the riders don't like this sort of pace at the bottom of a climb. They would like just a kilometre or two, get settled in, get your rhythm, but they're not allowing that, the US posters, and that, you know, was definitely the tactic. There's probably a number of riders there, they say, we won't give them a chance to settle into the hill, attack it immediately, and that's definitely what they have done.
And where's at the moment Ulrich? He was the danger man. I saw one of the orange jerseys manage to sort of whip up to them. I think he's a bit too far back. Christoph Morrow is still there. As Armstrong started to come through, he's slimming himself down to only one man in front and one man behind him. Isn't that too much damage, or do you think, no, I can do it on my own, I'll rip these legs off these people? That's an amazing tactic.
Well, if you allow your team just to make a steadier pace, you're definitely going to have them for a longer time up the climb. But if you start like we just see him doing, you know, sprinted into the bottom of the climb, you're going to lose your teammates. And you know, I think Armstrong, as calculated, he's going to try and put a lot of the other big favourites in difficulty, and then when it comes to when you've got no team at him, he'll take it on board himself, and we've seen him doing that before with Ulrich a number of years ago. He went right from the bottom on his own.
He's just a cowboy charging into the saloon, knocking open the doors, the guns blazing, and surely you might get shot, because if he's got it wrong, he could suffer. I mean, this is he must feel so confident, Sean, or is it just bravado to psych out? He must make a great. And there, Hamilton is still there, strapped up with his collarbone problem, and he's still there.
Yes, well, Hamilton is amazing. You know, the last number of days, the way he's been going on in this tour with a broken collarbone, and you know, yesterday getting through quite well, and still there today. It's just amazing with a collarbone what this guy is doing.
This is again one of the epic climbs of the Alpe d'Huez. They could not surely have run the Tour de France in the centenary year to go over the old 6 stages where the race finished in its 1903 first edition. This race did not go up to the Alpe d'Huez until 1952, but it's become a legend in just that short time. And Virank now is struggling and dropping off, and they're all over the place. It is really down to survival time, and will they just try and ride up together or get little groups together, Sean?
No, on the Alp, you do not stay together. You just set your own pace, and you just get up as fast as you can. So there's no such thing as staying with guys. Everybody just give it 100% here, and as we see, Ribeiro is setting quite a strong pace. Not many riders left in the wheel, but if it settles down a bit, I think we could see some riders coming back. Like of Ulrich, he likes in the beginning to get settled into the climb. He can come back. So I wouldn't say the riders were not in the pitch at the moment. They're not all out of it, but depending on what Armstrong does, if he starts going on his own and setting the pace that we've seen him do before, well, then it's going to be very difficult for anybody to come back.
And the Onsay team have absolutely splattered. They just couldn't hold that sudden surge, and they're going backwards too as well, making life very difficult indeed for Bilocchi going into the stage this morning. Sean, keep an eye on what is going on here. I'll just put the people in the picture. We didn't have much time to give you the general classification after yesterday's superb ride by Veronk in the yellow jersey. He didn't take the lead, he took the lead on the general classification, but he didn't get very much out of Armstrong. Armstrong was 2 minutes 37 seconds. Aldag this morning going to general classification was third at 2:48. He won't have a catch chance in hell today, and it's hell out there too. The sun is beating down. As the Rubera from the US Postal team this morning was lying fourth at 2:59. In fifth spot, Heras from US Postal. Bilocchi was back in sixth spot. He was still something like about just under 30 seconds adrift of Armstrong. Jaska from the Onsay team again this morning, also about 30 seconds adrift of Armstrong, lying in seventh spot. Then Beltran, US Postal. Then Ulrich in ninth place, and he again was just over 30 seconds down on Armstrong. So they sorted out Veronk at the moment. He's got to stay within 2 minutes and 37 seconds of Armstrong to keep the yellow jersey. Well, I don't think it's going to happen, as our two leaders here going away after Loza at the front, and only 1 minute now as trouble at Garzelli and Ulrich are chasing hard to try and catch on. But Sean, this is typical. He looks determined, but my goodness, he's got to get some rhythm back, eh?
Yes, well, Ulrich is with a good rider. Garzelli, I think he's coming better, and we've seen today he's going for the mountain points. So Ulrich has a good man to be with him there, and I would not count them out yet, depending on certainly what Armstrong does here.
The helicopter hovering over the front riders on the race, and at the moment you can see that Ulrich is in trouble and Garzelli is just drifting away from it at the moment, but is this the moment when Ulrich cracks, or can he come back? Dancing out the saddle still, the jersey of Veronk in the yellow jersey. He has to stay within 2 minutes and 37 seconds, but there again there's 20 seconds bonus for the winner of the stage, and Armstrong looks so determined. But to me, the man of the match, that man Hamilton behind him, Sean, strapped up with that crack. I mean, he did it on day one. He fell off. He's been struggling so much. He insisted on staying in there. If he'd gone home to his wife and his dog Tugboat, he'd have been quite said, well, that's it. So now Moreau is looking like he's having all sorts of problems too as well. What's Moreau up to? Struggling is a word? Oof, yes. Run down coming on the riders. They've had a quick check as they're looking here, struggling off the back now, having difficulty to Manchego, and Sean has a little rundown on the seven men. Yes, yes, Sean.
Heras is with Armstrong, of course, Bilocchi, Vinocroft, Hamilton, Mayo, and Azubeldia.
The noise of our headphones from the radio tour is amazing. They're trying to clear the motorcycles out the way. Oh gosh, he's coming back at a sudden great rate of knots too. Suddenly it's gone. It's Vinocroft who tried to stay with it, and now he's having all sorts of problems. 10 kilometres to go, and our two riders at the front are hanging on out there. They're no threat on the yellow jersey, but they enliven things coming off the top of the Col de Galibier, and the determined effort. And there's an attack coming already.
Bilocchi.
My goodness, and in fact the Spanish press, Sean, were slagging off the Spanish men for not attacking.
Yes, and the Spanish press and the Spanish TV, they were talking a lot yesterday after the finish. They were saying, why did they not attack on the Col de Ramaz, because it was the moment to try out Armstrong, and they were giving out a lot about it, because they said they're talking about it with the last 4 or 5 days. But certainly Bilocchi, he's talking about this, and he's going about it here today.
And how much of the gap that was between these riders came out as a result of that team time trial, which broke the whole thing up quite a bit. But the riders here from the Euskadi team, they didn't do a good time trial, but my goodness, they've got climbers that could knock minutes out, but they're also now just drifting off back. There are two of them.
Yes, well, we see Heras is setting a strong pace here. We see Vinocroft in trouble, losing contact with this group of Armstrong, and the two leaders out in front just hanging out there. That's Rosa and Roos, 20 seconds of a lead at the moment.
Just the British viewers, when we get a quick rundown on the top 10. David Miller start this morning, 23rd spot, 4:36 down on Virong. That's just a matter, I think, of record rather than anything else, because he's going to have to really struggle up here. The race for the yellow jersey, really, we felt that at the end of the Alps race, the thing would begin to take shape, and Belocchi is now taking. Most of the time we've watched him in previous years, Sean, he's just been sitting in the shadow and often finished the end of Tour de France with less sun than anybody else, because he didn't attack, and now somebody must have said, get out and do it. Do you think Mario Sainz has sort of got the whip out?
Well, I think, yes, they've been following Armstrong a lot. Belocchi is that sort of a rider, and I think he said he's changing. If he doesn't do something better on the Tour this year, he said he's changing his programme next year. He's talked about it many times in the last number of days, and he's doing it. So I think he's definitely worked out with Manolo Sainz, the team manager from the Once team, and he's going about it here, and he's pulling out a bit of a gap actually. And I think Ulrich and Garzelli are making ground and starting to come back to the group of Armstrong.
But what about Hamilton?
Well, Hamilton is just unbelievable with a broken collarbone. If he had not had that accident at the beginning and that injury, he would be a real favourite for this race, I think. And we talked about that at the beginning, because this year we feel the race he won, he was more confident, and this was going to be his big year in the Tour. But unfortunately, that crash put a little bit of doubt over that.
And well, Belocchi in 2000 he finished second behind Lance Armstrong. Third. Ulrich was second, Belocchi was third in the Tour in that year. 2001, Armstrong was the leader. He won it that time, and Ulrich was second. Belocchi was third again. Last year he moved up into second spot. Belocchi, Rumsas was into third spot. So he knows his way through this race. The question is now, can he use that experience and the knowledge of Armstrong and the tactics to go? But he's gone quite early. Sean, we don't normally see attacks quite that. The one down the bottom for the US Postal, I won't say it's predictable, but one can live with that. But for Belocchi to go with 10 kilometres to go, was that a bit early?
Well, I think the US Postals, the tactic was to really, start to demoralise the others at the bottom of the climb and really turn it on fast. And you would do that. They say, oh, here we go again. The US Postals and Lance are going to destroy us on this climb. And when you hit guys like that, morale-wise, it would, damage them. But if guys are still in good shape, and as I said, the ones who want to start a bit slower, they might do that and they might claw their way back. But if they get the chance, and as we see here, Armstrong is starting to turn it on now, and that's going to be the difficult thing for Garzelli and Ulrich, to come back and to catch up with this leading group.
Just saw the Union Jack wave in the background. Had to wait a bit of time before David Miller comes into view. Masses of people from different nations up there. Spoke before the start from Chris from Down School in Colwall in Malvern in Worcestershire. He said that his children are watching it. He's a maths teacher there, and they use cycling, by the way, as a part of their maths program to do revolutions of the wheels and gear systems and calculate that back again and average speed. I wonder if they're doing heart rate too as well. But so many people have come from far and wide to watch this race today, and they're watching what is going to be at the moment another epic event, and it's Belocchi who suddenly decided it's about time to do something, and he's riding, Sean, better than better. It looks like he's going further and further away.
Well, yes, it looks like he's riding pretty well there. It's difficult to calculate on the climb how well he's going because of the gear he used, and some riders use a lower gear, so they're pedaling that little bit faster. But Armstrong, I think he will be coming back quickly to him with his two riders in his wheel, Hamilton and Mayo.
.69 kilometres to go toward the top, and the excited spectators here at the finish too. They can see on the big screen what you can see on Eurosport's coverage of this, the 2003 Tour de France, going up this infamous and famous climb of the Alpe d'Huez. Armstrong is beginning to claw his way back up to Belocchi, and he's towing Hamilton, he's towing Mayo. Sean, are those two likely to try and do a Belocchi and come past him, or are they just going to wait to see if Armstrong's going to crack?
Well, I think they will allow Armstrong do the pace setting for a while, but I think Mayo, if he's in good shape and this sort of climb would suit him, he definitely will try and attack, and yes, there he goes. I thought he might stay for a bit and see what Armstrong would do. Would he try and keep on the pace setting? But he did not give Armstrong a chance when he came back to Belocchi. He just goes for it right away.
But the trouble with Mayo, he's way out. He's, at the moment this morning, he's 40th on general classification, and he's something like about 4 minutes down on Lance Armstrong, or 3 and a bit, because of that team time trial. Meant his team didn't go rather well, so he's got a lot to make up. I don't know if he can actually do it on the climb like this, but he's determined to try and get the stage victory today. He's a brilliant little climber and had a superb season so far, and I think at the moment he's one of those sort of chaps, Sean, that he's not going to sort of touch his fall like I say, oh Mr. Armstrong and oh Mr. Belocchi. I mean, he's really riding extremely well at the moment, and possibly on this 3-week tour here, surprising a lot of people, but he has had a good season.
2:32 for the yellow jersey of the rank at the moment, and we see Hamilton having a go here. I think Armstrong is not too worried about Mayo for the moment, because as you said, he's not in the general classement, but Belocchi I think is the most dangerous, and we see here he chased Belocchi down, and as Belocchi attack here, Armstrong reacts quite quickly.
Well, Mayo down the road, in the Tour of the Basque Country, which we covered on Eurosport, he won the first stage, he won the stage 5A and stage 5B time trial too as well. He became overall victor in the Tour of the Basque Country. Hamilton was in second spot on that occasion, and right now Hamilton is still in the act here, considering what he's been through. Undoubtedly that guru, what do you call it, that healer man has been working on him mentally as much as physically, has certainly done wonders with Hamilton, and Hamilton, Belocchi, Armstrong, with Mayo down there. Who's the other guy? Zubeldia. Well, he was riding well up the climb of the Col de Galibier, just a bit further back too as well. Whilst the settling in is here before your very eyes. I think this is the semi-gruppetto already started. But where is Ulrich, Sean? Can you hear on the radio tour as Hamilton is pedaling his way here? Hamilton, who surprised us all at the start of the season when we did the Paris-Nice with a superb ride in the time trial, the Prague time trial, when he finished second, and he went on throughout that race. We were absolutely astounded because he hadn't raced for something like 6 months, and he did a superb ride then, and of course ever since then he's been getting better and better and better, and right now he's determined to show his ex-boss from the US Postal that he knows a thing or two about attacking Armstrong.
And as we see Mayo here, he looks to be climbing very, very well. He's had a very good rhythm here. The surprising thing is Armstrong. Normally he starts setting a pace behind anybody on Alpe d'Huez, really. So you would be wondering if he's not on the best of his days. But there's time to do that yet, and we could see him turning it on later on. He's just testing the other guys maybe to see what they have got in their legs.
And no sign in of Ulrich and Garzelli on our screen. He's still going away. 35 seconds for Armstrong. Bronchi's going further and further back, and Belocchi has another go as Hamilton drifts off the back. Well, Hamilton was the first American to win a major, Liège-Bastogne-Liège, with a superb ride in the spring series of classics. That Liège-Bastogne-Liège, nasty climbs towards the end. Bit of a grotty sort of day. It didn't actually sunshine. It wasn't too cold, but he showed then that he had got guts and determination. But for that crash on day one, what would he be doing now? Or perhaps that gave him more impetus to do well. Whereas Veronk at the back knows that he had in his advantage 2 minutes 37 seconds over Armstrong on the climb. He's got to concentrate now and hold that gap, and it's written all over his face. He also wants to keep and get up there and get past a number of other riders to ensure he puts more points in the bag for the points jersey. That superb stage victory yesterday in the Morzine. He became yet again the darling of France. They've had now in this the centenary 2003 Tour de France. They've had 2 riders from France wearing the yellow jersey. They haven't had that since way back in 2001. Mayo still driving away at the front. Veronk is Wunderkraft looks like he might be coming back at the moment, but he's probably going to take up one of the US Postals with him as well. or is he going with him?
That's well, his Harris is coming back with Vindercroft. So I think he will again, once he comes back to Armstrong, maybe a little recovery period in the wheels, but he will start setting the pace again. And they're losing a lot of time to Mayo, 44 seconds. So he is going very strong out front, but they're not really giving it everything here. They're looking at each other and they're having an attack, and they're not giving it 100%, this group of Armstrong.
Well, Mayo started out 3 minutes 34 seconds down on Lance Armstrong as a result of that team time trial. I know that many of you are sick and tired of me saying that I don't like team time trials in the big Tour de France, and that is the reason I don't, because this man here had no chance at all with his Euskaltel team in the team time trial against the well-drilled Onseys and the well-drilled US Postals, and they've now begun to regroup at the front. I suppose now, Sean, as they say, well, providing Mr. Mayo doesn't go down the road for much more than 3 minutes, we're quite happy with that. We'll just deal with the other guys, and he's in trouble too, isn't he?
Well, I think he's actually coming back. He was a little bit further down Manchego, so again he's scrubbing his way back onto the group of Armstrong. We also see another one from the Euskaltel team, Lyseca. He's also came back there, and of course we see Heras and Vindercroft coming back. So that proves that the Armstrong Belucchi group is not really going full out, and so the advantage to Mayo, he's pulling out the time advantage all the time here.
He's still got his pressure, though. It's amazing, because of those who used to hot weather, it doesn't. All these lunatics out there, because the trouble, you can't barricade. Look at them running in the way here. There's no way that you can barricade the whole of the race, but I suppose they get tanked up for 3 weeks before it comes through here, and they lose all the marbles between those thick ears. Looks like it's regrouping, and still Mayo on the front. The US Postals did the damage to begin with, but Sean, they did it, but have they got rid of everybody they want to get rid? Because they're regrouping, but I haven't seen Ulrich and Garzelli come back yet.
No, Ulrich was about a kilometre further back. He was a minute 30 down, and Basso was 105, Moreau at 130. So, and I didn't hear anything about Garzelli, but he was for a moment with Ulrich, so maybe he's still there. But with the last shots we see of Ulrich, Garzelli was actually going away from him, so I haven't heard anything from Garzelli what position he's in at the moment.
And this is Veronk, who started out this morning on the general classification 2 minutes 37 seconds up on Armstrong. Well, he put everything into it yesterday, Sean. And do you think that's weakened him a little bit? I mean, he's what, 34, 35 years of age, and yeah, look on his face, I think says it all. I can't see him. What do you think? He's wearing the yellow jersey?
Well, I think he's happy that he got the yellow jersey for one day. I would not think he had huge confidence for this final climb, and considering the ride he did yesterday, that big long breakaway, it's definitely going to take his toll today. He wouldn't be fully recovered, so you see 3:48, he's losing all the time, but I think he's happy with the jersey for one day, the stage yesterday, and also the polka dot jersey, like he's leading in that, and looks very like he could take it all the way to Paris.
And of course, I suppose he's got more chances. We've got some more mountain climbers. This is only the first of 3 mountain top finishes we've got. We've got another undulating and very mountainous stage. There's one tomorrow, again, a rather nasty hilly stage too, which is labelling to get points in the interim climbs then. So perhaps that's where he's going to be at. And whilst the rest are battling it out to try and get the yellow jersey off Lance Armstrong, give him a chance here. And Mayo, well, there is a threat though, isn't it? Because if this guy keeps climbing towards the end, and certainly get down to the Pyrenees, the Basques will turn out in large numbers, and Mayo, who's having a brilliant season, could really give Mr. Veronk a bit of a trouble, especially if he's up here in the top few places, wherever he might be, and Veronk is out of the points.
Well, I think, if you look down the classement, Mayo have quite a lot to make up, and Veronk has accumulated a lot yesterday and today, and I think, Veronk, he's going to be able to pick him off at the top of the climbs ahead of Mayo. So I don't know if he gets into a position. Yes, I think a Spaniard, if he's a possibility of taking the polka dot jersey, he would definitely become a danger, but at this moment I don't think he's too much to worry about, depending on what happens in the days to come.
We shall see then. We'll be having it for you on Eurosport. We're going all the way through the Tour de France. Yesterday we gave you 7 hours wall-to-wall cycling right from start to finish. For those of you who are complaining that you're only going to get about an hour and a half or 2 hours of cycling today, and again Vindercroft goes for this one, and I know that emails came flooding into British Eurosport and International Eurosport, but this is where it's all going to happen. The ride over the top of the Galibier was just a sort of sort out to begin with, where he went through through the first climb of the day, the third category climb, Veronk got that. And the next climb after 30k, Veronk got that. Then over the top of the col, the Telegraph, Rodrigo got that. And over the col, the Galibier. As we went up there, the action really started happening. Garcelli got that. Manchevo, Moro in that sort of order. But they are in all sorts of trouble. This is the real race. This is where you're seeing it. Live on Eurosport this afternoon. Back in the dungeons in Paris, Mike Smith is watching this. We haven't got many statistics because we're seeing one of the classic races. Sean Kelly is here with me, and we've had the benefit of the insight very quickly from Christy Anderson before my microphone ran on the blink, and ladylike she handed over her microphone to me. So the team is in full flight, and now it's beginning to, I would say, settle down. Let's have a quick word from Mike Smith back there in Paris, who's sitting there quietly, coolly in the dungeons watching this, and we've got the whole drama, the tempo, the heat, and the atmosphere of the tour at the top of the Alpe d'Huez. How's it look to you, Mike?
Well, David, what can you say? This is, for me, I think this is the classic mountain top finish, and I've always had a great admiration, by the way, for Villanokarov ever since I first came across him in the Isle of Man some 10 years ago when he was in his first year as a senior. He won one or two races over there, and look how he's matured into a smashing all-round climber. And isn't it incredible, this? Riders attacking Armstrong. Who would have thought that Belocchi would go? Vinokurov, unbelievable.
And regroupment at the moment coming up too. Nice to see that we've got Basso, considering Passo Bertolo down to 3 riders. Number 81 there, Basso, the winner of the young riders or under 25 riders competition last year, moving through there. He's only got Brusigan and Daniccioni there. And the gap now, we understand, is 1 minute back to Ulrich. Sean, is he catching back a bit? It seems to be like he was a bit further than that before, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. He was the last time to got was 1:30, and he's certainly coming back. And that is the Ulrich style. You know, he finishes. He can finish very strong. In the beginning of a climb, he's not the best. To attack it like we see them attacking with the US posters, really going for it in the bottom of these slopes.
Vinokurov took a bit of a pasting further back, Sean. Now he's coming back in. Do you go through a bad patch? I think it was Jerome Jones who said that he had gone up the front with Bernardo, and then you were having a bad patch. You steamed past him halfway. Is it possible on a big climb this to have a second breath?
Well, again, some of the riders, take a bit of time to settle into the climb, and Vinokurov as well. I don't think he would be a lover of that sort of thing, which the US posters did the bottom really charge into it. So again, to settle in, probably he didn't get the time. But he's also a rider when the thing slows down a bit, as we go through the 5 kilometres to go here with Maya. When it settles down, he always goes to attack. He's not afraid to attack. He's that style of rider. He's very aggressive, and he's shown it again here today.
Vinokurov this morning with about 1 minute 48 seconds down. We have to sort of take away Veronk's time off the general classification and trying to relate the riders against Armstrong, and I reckon he's 1:48 minutes down on Vinokurov. But to pull out all that little lot from now on in, it means he's got a lot to do again from that team time trial, and Vinokurov has got a lot of ability, but if they keep sort of closing up on Armstrong like this, Sean, if he doesn't get some of these guys back, that's going to set the scene for another good day tomorrow. Yes,
it certainly is, and it's surprising, it's just Vinokurov, they've gone through the 5 kilometre goal for some of them, and Armstrong is just about that at that now. I'm surprised that he's not attacking and going for it on his own, and it proves that but maybe we'll see him go on the attack maybe in the next in the not too distant from here.
One of the stars of yesterday's young Rogers here. He's learning a lesson the hard way, riding for the Quick Step team. Roger Hamilton's going now. The camera's picked up Roger. They finished 4th yesterday, and Rogers in good form. He's a young rider, and I'm sure we'll see more of him in the future. And Hamilton is gripping the bars just as if, well, I don't have problems with my collarbone, and I'm going to rip the legs off this field, and that is phenomenal.
Yes, it certainly is to see him, making many attacks here, and it's not normally what we would see from Armstrong. He's been attacked here by a lot of riders. Other occasions on these sort of times, we'd see him go to the front after his teammates have done the job. When Heras, went off the front of the group there, we would have seen Lance turning it on, but he's not doing that today. So a little bit of doubt about his form here.
there Biloki putting the screw down again, Armstrong behind, and even Basso's moved into the wheel now, and down the road then we've had Hamilton go away, Zubelda's gone with him, Mayo's down the road in front too as well, and also Wernekroff. Sean, when we were talking a week ago now, maybe just before, maybe Friday, Saturday, about who's going to win, we all put Armstrong down, and all of a sudden put in second and third place otherwise, but the general feeling was amongst everybody it could be closer, and many were saying if lots of the guys that we know are good attack him, it'll make life difficult control, and he's having just that here today live on Eurosport.
Yes, we're definitely seeing that, a lot of riders attacking here. I think the pace is being set here, and maybe the riders are able to attack. In the other years when we came up here, the last time that we came up with Armstrong, the pace he set at the bottom with his team, and then when he took off there was nobody able to touch him, where today he's not able to do that, or he hasn't done it let's say yet, but it's not looking good the way he's allowing guys to attack him left, right and centre. So I'm a little bit his form maybe is not as good as it is before, and it will definitely give confidence to the other riders when they see they can attack him like this. But maybe we'll see Armstrong give an attack in the last 2-3 kilometres and really turn it on.
But as he's the best placed man on the general classification amongst this little group at the moment, at least he can, hold his breath. They've been pulling bits back off him. Do you think he's just saying, well, I'll still get the jersey at the top, provided I just go with these guys and stay within, like a 30 second of him, 25 second of him, but it must be bad psychologically for him as much as how many seconds I might take out of him.
Well, yes, it is difficult for you when you look back and the way he's been climbing these sorts of climbs before, and the way he's just destroyed the field, and today he's been attacked, so it does work on him a bit as well, but I think when Biloki goes, he's on to him very, very quickly, as we see here again. He's a danger man. He cannot allow Biloki to take any time. The other one, Maya, like in the time trial, he would need to have a long way an advantage over Armstrong to be any danger in the time trial. Wernekroff, he's not too worried about him for the moment, so Armstrong has nothing major to be concerned about at this moment.
So do you mean he's going to calculate in his head, well, let him take a bit out, because when it comes to time trial, I know I'm better than him and better than that. I mean, this is pure calculation, or is that the only way you win races like this?
Well, as we see now, 124 that's for Wernekroff and
Mayo's up there still, isn't he? Well,
yes, well, Wernekroff after Mayo.
Yeah.
But you have to calculate if you're not really great and you're not feeling that at your best. You have to start calculating then, and the guys who attack you have to say, well, in the time trial I can take a number of minutes out of him. He's not the danger, but the guys who are danger in the time trial you have to keep closing down and not allow them to take any seconds. So it's something that Armstrong would be able to do. But other times he didn't have to do that. He was just able to turn it on the climbs and just burden everybody off his wheel.
So do you detect he's going to have a harder task on winning the Tour de France for his 5th time?
Well, it's early days to say yet, but looking at it here, that would be the answer.
What a race figure now, folks. Watching Wernekroff on his way up, and he must have in mind, I'm sure, again, his countryman Kivilev, you remember, in the Paris-Roubaix. So very great friends indeed. Again, a man, Kivilev, who rode well in this race too, and he's hounding after this man Mayo to try and get a stage victory. But again, both those riders a bit down on general classification. They're coming into the stage today. Then Wernekroff was lying 1 minute and 48 seconds down on Lance Armstrong. There is quite a bit of bonus up here, and he's not a bad time trialist though, Sean. And of course the Telecom team now with Botero having all sorts of trouble, and we saw how Aldag rode yesterday. They've got a very good, strong squad.
Well, yes, on paper they have got a strong squad, but I don't think Botero, the way he's riding at the moment, you could count a lot on him, because being in the Gruppetto, I don't think his morale is going to be great, and he, unless he comes out of that a bit. But Wernekroff is a good time trialist, certainly better than Mayo, but I think Armstrong would be saying, well, he's not going to last, he's going to have an off day, he won't get over all the mountains every day in this tour, and I would say that's the way Lance is calculating.
That victory in the Tour of Switzerland didn't come easy for Wernekroff, did it?
Well, that's the question.
Good feed into the Tour de France.
Yes, the question is, has Wernekroff improved this year? He seemed to be a bit more consistent in the longer races. The Tour of Swiss he won, which is a very hilly race, but it's not the Tour of France. It's not a 3-week tour.
And there's a long way to come, because if you just switched on, dear viewer, having come back off your holidays, and just say, well, switch the channels, here what we're doing. We're on stage 8 of the Tour de France, from Sallanches to the Alpe d'Huez, total distance 219 kilometres. That's 136 miles. It's the 23rd time that we've gone up to finish at the top of the Alpe d'Huez. The first time we went up was in 1952, and this has always been a battleground over the years, not only to set the scene, as Fausto Coppi did in 1952, to go on and win the Tour de France that year by well over 25 minutes in Paris. He went on to win the next 2 mountain stages, and this is where they can also, I think, put the wind up people. And Armstrong now must be looking at this little lad. He's done it before. Is he going to sort of try and put a bit of pressure on? And Ulrich might be coming back.
Well, that is possible that he would come back, Ulrich, if he can keep on going. As we heard, he was making up time. When you see Zubeldia setting the pace in the front, he's definitely not going to start pushing, because with Mayo up the road, and we see also Manchebo and Leseka coming back, because they lost contact for a moment. So I would not be surprised if Ulrich don't come back shortly to this group of Armstrong.
This is his tactics, though, isn't it, Sean, normally?
Well, yes, again, he can finish very strong on the climb, and he's, that sort of guy, powerful, as we see Balocchi attacking again. So, these guys are, they're getting confidence, because normally it would be Armstrong who would be attacking them. So I think the confidence is getting better and better with all those, the challenges of Armstrong.
What a race we're going to have in the next few days as well. We've got an up and down day tomorrow. It doesn't finish up a mountain, but my goodness, be some tired legs. As Mayo then gets up that 2 kilometres to go, and the crowd have come down. There's not so many vehicles on the side here. They narrowed it down with the barriers, so nobody could park here. We came through last night. They were walking up and down, painting on the roads the names of their favourites, and all the nations are here. It's a tremendous gathering of the world to watch the race through, as Vintercroft tries to get up to Mayo, tries to distance himself from Lance Armstrong. And I was just up the road, as they're still here this afternoon, having a bit of lunch, and on the music came over. John Lennon's Imagine all these people. And I thought, imagine, we've seen the riders going up on the Alpe d'Huez on their bikes for the last few days, imagining they were in the Tour de France like this. And those words of John Lennon in Imagine, people say I'm a dreamer, and all the world wish that I'm not the only one. And off he goes. A beautiful song, and imagine all these riders now are going on the greatest stage of the Tour de France, and all those riders who went up this morning, they were coming up here in their droves, and they could not understand, I think, how these riders can ride at this speed. You can see it on their faces, the ordinary clubmen glorying their way up here, and now they're watching the giants of the road climbing here. They make it look so easy. It is a horrendous climb. You can look down the valley and see where they have come from to the top of this horrendous climb, and the battle is raging when they get to the top of this climb, 1,850 metres above sea level. They started at 722, about 1,100 metres of climbing, and still this man who took off 12 kilometres to go, Sean, he's riding up there like he's on the flat. It's unbelievable.
Yes, well, as we all know, Mayo, he's going very well this year. He's climbing magnificently, and we see him in the Dauphiné. He was very strong. A lot of the time he was attacking Armstrong and had him in difficulty, so he's definitely proven here today. And the question is, Armstrong, is he not as strong as he was previous years in the climbs? And it certainly looks like that, because he hasn't made any pace and he hasn't attacked at all. He's just following his real danger man, and I think he's suffering a little bit.
And so is Christophe Moreau, but he's coming back. Further on, when our cameras went to him, you thought he was going to put the last nail in his coffin, but he's here.
Well, yes, Moreau has been quite to the fore in the last week, right from the beginning, really. On the flatter stage, it's been up there, but he's coming back to the group of Ulrich here, and Ulrich is just over a minute down behind Armstrong, but a good ride by Moreau. 1
kilometre to go for Mayo. inside that final kilometre. There's no doubt about it. Though Vinrock's going to come at him, I don't think he's going to get him at all. 1:54, Armstrong 2:11, and starting out this morning, Mayo 3 minutes 35 seconds down. The interesting thing is, say, because he can't time trial, we've got another 2 mountaintop finishes. He keeps doing this, he can knock another 2 or 3 minutes out of Armstrong, but that again will put somebody in there, won't it, Sean? This man has not got it easy this year, Armstrong, has he?
No, it doesn't look like that at all. And Maya, you know, winning this stage here, what will he do when he goes to the Pyrenees with the support he has down there? You know, he will be just really up for it. So he could, you know, take a lot more time out of Armstrong in these stages.
He doesn't look the least bit stressed, does he? And this is just like a lap of honour almost for him. He swings round, he'll be able to see the finish when he goes past that left-hander, and he's so elated as he comes through here, as everybody does that comes up the climbs. In fact, we had Roberto Conti just alongside a short while ago who won this stage here, talking on Italian television. He knows what it's like, and the victory then in this, the 23rd time the Tour de France has come up the Alpe d'Huez, goes to Iban Mayo, the super specialist climber who really has come into his own since early on this season when he won the Tour de Basque Country, and the Basques will turn out in great numbers when he gets down to the Pyrenees. Can he fight for yellow then? He's certainly going to take this stage and move up on the points competition for that polka dot jersey too as well. Euskadi are looking for a new sponsor for next year. I think they'll be queuing up down there in the Pyrenees towards that team sponsorship, the way this man delivers the goods in 5 hours and 57 minutes, and Vinrock is trying to come across that gap with 1 kilometre to go. Vinrock, though, would like to have got the stage, but he's trying to get as far as he can from Armstrong, eh?
Yes, well, he's trying to hang on out there. He has, I don't think he has a great advantage over the group of Armstrong at the moment, but he's definitely fighting, and he's trying to, you know, finish second on the stage.
Well, he started at 1 minute 49 seconds down on Armstrong this morning, and as there's still a kilometre to go, he's certainly going to do a bit to pull that one back. Armstrong surely has to accelerate here, Sean, but they're going to try. Now there is a 20, 12 and 8 seconds bonus, and they're going to try and pinch the 8 seconds off the boss.
Yes, and Vinrock, he has a nice gap there. We can't see him in our shot, so he could hold on out there. I think he will. And you know, Belocchi is the guy who's taking the pace. Armstrong is not doing anything, so he definitely, I don't think he's on the best of his days.
Whilst he's running a second spot, the interest will be what the gap between him and Armstrong will be, because Armstrong, the gap between these two was 1 minute 48 seconds this morning, and Armstrong could be riding into yellow, but the gap is closing, and this man, who took an awful packet on the lower part of the slope, recovered, rode up to Armstrong, rode past Armstrong, couldn't quite catch Mayo, but he's coming in here to do a bit of damage. The difference between him and Lance Armstrong, who could be riding in to the yellow jersey, because the other riders with Lance at the moment aren't that much of a threat. There's about 25 to 30 seconds between them as he comes through here. Mayo's time is on the left-hand side of the screen, but Mayo started out this morning some 3 minutes and 35 seconds down on Lance Armstrong. Just count that back then. This morning, Mayo 3:34 down on Armstrong, and what's going to happen now as they come through? Left-hand side, coming up to 2 minutes. They're whizzing their way around those last 200 metres. Mayo's not going to take the yellow jersey. Armstrong realises he's got a few seconds bonus. He's sprinting here for 8 seconds bonus. This is, well, I don't know, he's going to say, well, I'm still boss, but he crosses the line, and there he goes, and he's got himself, now then, only 27 seconds between himself and Vinrock. Vinrock got 12 seconds bonus, and he got 8, that's next to 4, so Vinrock just pulled back 31 seconds on that occasion, but certainly to see Lance Armstrong sprinting, Sean, like that with the rest round about it, would we have thought that was likely when we set out from Paris just over a week ago, eh?
No, normally he did not have to do the sprints because he was out there on his own on the other occasions, the other years in the tour, let's say, and he had so much an advantage he never even bothered. But there he seemed to be going for that number of seconds, and he sprinted really, you know, strongly for it.
Please, dear viewer, back at home, don't think we're anti-Armstrong at all. It's just that over the years, I remember when Indurain dominated this sport, you sit around waiting one day when somebody starts to attack and disturb the boss, and that, remember, happened when it was way back when Bjorn Rees set about Indurain. Indurain was not attacked for a long period of time. I just thought, well, he's unbeatable. Armstrong's been unbeatable for so long now. Superb tactician with the Brunel, his team manager, aided and abetted by the riders like Heras and the rest of them, who've helped enormously to keep Armstrong up there. And they're coming up so quickly, and they're just trying to save every vital second. Nothing is being given away. Nobody's getting a free ride today. This is so close, that whole tenacity, and do bear in mind that well, Ulrich lost 1:25 there, just coming out headphones right now, as the best young rider on the young rider classification comes through. So he's going to make sure certainly that he's got that one going through into the stage tomorrow. But there's a lot of sore legs back down the mountain, and interesting, I don't think we've seen last year's white jersey winner Iban Mayo come into sight yet, have we, Sean? Because he tried to close up too as well, but well,
yes, he has went through there.
He did went through.
Yes.
That's good then. Just shows these young riders do develop stage further, but trying to just keep cool, keep calm. He's lost the yellow jersey, but he's going to take the points competition. Is Richard Verdonk on your screen. Alongside him too, we've got Michael Rogers, and here comes Garzelli, who got over the top of the Galibier in second spot, but he took a bit of a pasting since then, and he's now coming in nearly 5 minutes down on Mayo. Toshnik, the Austrian champion, rolls in too as well, as the riders coming in dribs and drabs from here.
Yax from the Owenstay.
Yeah, well, Yax was up there too on the. He was
Beltran.
Yeah, Yax and Beltran this morning. They were going in. They were looped together. They were about only 6 seconds separating them. So they virtually come in, Yax and Beltran together. But they lost time, and the general classification will have a very different shape to it as it was like 2 days ago.
And the last time check on the rank was 8.5 minutes. He was down.
8.5 minutes.
Yes.
And all that happened in 13 kilometres.
Well, yes, but as we see here, the pace they're going, at a slower pace, much slower than the group Armstrong was going, and the seconds tick away very quickly on the climb when you're in trouble. And Richard Verdonk did look trouble on the previous climb. He seemed to be losing strength to Col de Galibier, and just normal after the day he went through yesterday.
Yeah, but again, you see, Sean, he picked up the two third category climbs, zooming up there. Shouldn't he stay for the big climbs? I mean, going for those small points.
Well, I think
that's the roles, is it?
I think Verdonk is concerned about his climbing ability in the big climbs, and I think that is Acerola. But I'd say he's worried about the real big climbs, so he's trying to take points when he can for the mountain jersey. And he said that going into the tour, that the polka dot jersey is interesting, but he said, I don't know whether it'll be up to it.
Well, we put out little blinds down here, just sort of technical things, so that we didn't get all the light on the TV screen, so it wipes out every picture because it bounces back of our paper. But looking over the top, one of two different riders coming in. Astor Loza just coming across the line. They don't always pick them up. In fact, David Miller has finished. I don't know if you've spot him come through, Sean, but I've just seen him on the side of the commentary box here, looking back down to see the next group of riders coming in here too as well. We've got a couple of his teammates, also one of his teammates in there, and yep. And David, well, another learning curve for him. But he's a big, tall, gangling lad, isn't he, David? The only big, tall, gangling fellow I remember doing well the Tour de France was Indurain, eh? I mean, David must be nearly as tall, if not the same height as Indurain.
Yes, he is very tall, but we have seen some good climbers, as you said. Indurain was the perfect example. He could get up the climbs very well. I think David is a little bit lighter than Indurain, so there's no reason why he should not be able to climb well, and his performance today is quite promising.
There we are. That's the general classification, as sort of subject to official review later on to make sure everything, all the bits fit in. Also coming up too, as I think it's Guarini just finishing, and behind him then is the champion of France going across the line, and just across the line too, Ribeira's gone through, so Ru's getting quite a welcome here. He did go enormous right off the top of the Galibier to see what he could do. It didn't quite turn out to his advantage. David Calaza also finished. I'm going to have an interview now with Iban Mayo. Coming up just a moment.
hecho, de verdad.
Bueno, yo no he dicho que iba a ganar esto, ¿no? Yo siempre he dicho que íbamos a ir a por una etapa y a por eso hemos ido, ¿no? Yo he podido tener un buen día, he atacado, he ido
I'm always saying that I would try and win the stage. I didn't say today actually.
Y que no me lo esperaba y la verdad que estoy muy satisfecho, ¿no?
I think I did something great.
J'ai pas dit que j'allais attaquer Armstrong, mais mon objectif c'était d'aller chercher une étape et aujourd'hui les circonstances étaient telles que je pouvais le faire, donc j'y suis allée et je suis vraiment très happy de cette victoire.
I didn't think I was going to attack today. Today with this stage victory, what happens now? You aim for the overall standings?
Lo voy a hacer disfrutar este momento porque no siempre se repite. Mañana no sé qué pasará, será otro día y pienso disfrutar la carrera y he hecho algo bonito.
I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I just will wait and see. I want to enjoy this victory first. I want to celebrate this victory.
As Richard Long comes in, the roar, you can probably hear it in the background from the crowd. He'll lose the yellow jersey, but he will certainly go into the polka dot jersey. And there we're getting the rundown on the results of the stage, which you can see before you. And look how much time Mayo knocked out of Lance Armstrong, 2 minutes and 12. And he started 3 minutes 34 seconds down this morning on the general classification as a result of that team time trial, which meant his team just had a lot of fighting to do in the big man yet to come. That will make it more interesting. But Tyler Hamilton, again, is going to be one of the men of the match to ride up there with that cracked collarbone. And Armstrong will take the yellow jersey. I'm sure that the polka dot jersey will go to Richard Barron. And the race leader today, the stage winner, Iban Mayo from Spain. So at long last, that's an answer to the Spanish press who were complaining that the Spanish riders had not attacked at all today. We saw him having a go, we saw Belocchi having a go, but in the end it was Armstrong who kept the yellow, or gained the yellow jersey. Looking back at some of the action on the climbs, the Belocchi goes away. Mike Smith back there in Paris, I haven't actually got the note of how fast they climbed that climb, but have you got a record there of what the record is up the Alpe d'Huez? I think it's about 42 minutes in or something.
Yes, well, David, funnily enough, it is 40-something. That is, of all the statistics I've got, that is the one that I haven't got. But when I was looking at the schedule for the climb today, and I checked it off, they haven't beaten the record, whatever that record is. It is in the low 40s, you're absolutely right. They were nearer to 50 minutes actually today, so no new record. But boy, what a performance by Iban Mayo and that man there, Vinokurov.
John?
I don't think we can, compare the records on the Alpe d'Huez, because when Pantani won it, it was a shorter stage. They did not have a lot of the mountain tops like they have had today and other years. So it's difficult to compare the record when you don't have, something similar stages.
And going back to Fausto Coppi, when the roads weren't as good as they are, he went up these 14 kilometres, it was those days, in 45 minutes and 22 seconds, riding them for the Italian team of the Tour de France on his Bianchi bicycle.
Yes, you're right. The competitors today, they didn't hesitate to attack you. Yes, today was a very hard stage. It was really a hard stage. From the start, it was really hard. The pack started to attack. In the Galibier, it was hard. I didn't feel too good in the Galibier. I thought, maybe I could lose today. In the Alpe d'Huez, I felt a little bit better. Lance, did you feel that you were in danger today? The attacks of Belocchi were so strong, so powerful. But Mayo is not so important for me. He's not such a good position in the overall standings. The whole climb with Mayo like this, if he does this in all the climbs, he's going to win the Tour. it's now a fine day if I'm going to have the yellow jersey. I have the yellow jersey. It's not so important. What's important is the feeling I have, the feeling I have in my legs. The team did a great job for me. I don't know. I didn't feel so good. I'm in the yellow jersey, but it's a 3-week tour. I have to wait for tomorrow. Tomorrow is another day. It's important also that Ulrich is a little bit out of the picture because but the race is not done. It's certainly not over.
And we're looking back at the slow motion then of Armstrong. He was very open in his comments there, I thought, Sean, because, well, that really is what I think many people have calculated, but he's come out and said where he sits at the moment, and that didn't seem to me like a man who's not overconfident, but he knows what he's got to do, doesn't he?
Well, yes, is he just dangling the carrot for the days to come and just giving these guys confidence, and you know, that everybody doesn't look to the US postal team to do everything, because I think that would be, as time go on, the years go on, winning every year, they're going to do less and less, and they're going to make them do everything in the race, on the flat stage, the mountain stages. So maybe they're calculating a bit more, who knows, but it's difficult when you're out there and the adrenaline is flowing and guys are attacking you. It's impossible to hold back really if you're feeling good, and I think Armstrong was suffering a bit today. Surprisingly, we haven't seen him like that for a number of years. I don't think we've seen him since he's been winning the two. We haven't really seen him like that.
Cameras going over this mountain range of the Alps, and in this part of the world, Duez, they were mining silver all those many years ago when France was short of minerals like that. Well, the man who didn't take silver, he took gold today, was the man in the orange jersey, and there is Iban Mayo, and I don't think we've seen the last of him. He's also on a high this year. He's been riding so well since the Tour de Basque Country, which we gave you on Eurosport way back at the start of the season. There he is, winning at the Alpe d'Huez.
Well, David, the glory on the day goes to Iban Mayo without question, but just take a look now at the favourites in the overall ranking. We've seen Iban Mayo getting his due accolades from the crowd. There's Armstrong on the top, and look at those gaps now, and Simoni, winner of the Tour of Italy, 20 minutes in arrears.
And there is the man who's used his mountain climbing ability to great success. We've got a big mountain climb tomorrow, the Col d'Isard. Again, the secondary climb of the Col Apollinaire going in towards the back end of the race too, with only somewhat 28 kilometres to go to the finish. Can he attack again tomorrow? Can he cause drama? He's already pulled a big chunk back out of Lance Armstrong, but as Sean was saying, he's not a great time trialist, so perhaps Lance also said he wasn't looked upon as a threat. But bike racing is full of surprises, and undoubtedly when this man gets down into the Pyrenees, if he does nothing else, he'll be welcomed like a hero as we get down there. We're up in the Alps at the moment that stretch all the way down from the Lake Geneva right the way down to the Mediterranean, and this rugged mountain, we're not out them yet with those climbs yet to come. We'll be back down. We'll be down in Marseille eventually, because Marseille was one of the other towns that the Tour de France went to in 1903 when it first started. All that little lot you can see there, all 300,000 of them, got to go down the mountain for the stage tomorrow, but as they go there'll be escorts down tomorrow morning for the Stade François, and the first man up there on the rostrum will be Lance Armstrong. And will he be first again tomorrow, and will he get down the mountain? We hope in good form too, because it's a horrendous descent down there. And all the supporters too that have come here, I've seen them here with the US postal jerseys. I even saw some with tartan hats on and funny coloured wigs. They'll be amongst the crowd saluting him. The crowd here, we see many languages, but I've never heard so many Americans, and I'm sure the whole of America, when they get this, will also be cheering the man who's on his way perhaps to the 5th victory in the Tour of France. He has the yellow jersey, and Sean, though, he's got to defend it, and there's some tough territory ahead.
Yes, there certainly is a lot of tough stages ahead, and I think the important thing is the rivals, we see them attacking today, something new in the Tour, and they will have confidence built today, so I think on that we will see a lot more of attacks in the mountain stages.
There they are, up at the rostrum. We've got the Director General of Nestle, Jeff Casso, up there with the Director of Communications communication from Credit Lyonnais, Nicolas Chain, and the councillor for this part of the world, Dennis Benezet, Director General of the supermarket, Thierry Garnier, and Dennis Badra, who is here from the local part of the world. So all the top there. We also got Jean-Francois Lamont, the Minister of Sport, here today, Eric Muller, the Mayor of the Alpe d'Huez, and there down in the distance we can see where this man rode his bike up to take over the yellow jersey. It's been a tremendous day for him, and one again which I'm sure you'll like to look back. We'll be having a highlights program, we'll having a look back as well, but certainly as far as today is concerned, I'm sure that Sean Kelly, Mike Smith and Christiansen will all join me, David Dufferin, in saying it's been a tremendous day for the sport. It ain't over yet. The fat lady's not singing, even if she's right up on the top of that mountain, but certainly in Spain they'll be celebrating tonight. They'll be out there. When he gets down to the Pyrenees, can he reduce the deficit on the way down there? You have to wait and see. You have to watch Eurosport. Don't forget, we've got more coming up after this.